Hey guys, what's going on? It's CalebBeg01 back again for another random horror review. For today's episode, we will be covering the film A Quiet Place. But before we get into that, I just want to take a brief moment of your time quickly just to remind some people, or maybe inform some people that do not know. You guys actually have the option to pick what movie I review for my next random horror review, the episode after this one. If you are unaware, my previous video, the one before the one you're watching now, was my collection update for winter. And in that video, I said out of all the movies I showed off in my collection update, you guys can pick from them, and that will be the next random horror review I do after a week's time. So that video has only been out for a couple of days, and as to be expected, because I don't get a lot of comments on my video, no one has picked a movie yet, which is fine. If no one picks a movie, that's okay. I'm just going to continue as normal. But just letting you guys know, you do have a say. I said after a week's time, the most commented / liked movie in the comments I will cover next. But so far, no one's done that. So if that's something you feel like doing, you can either, if you've seen that video, you can comment below which movie out of that collection update you would like me to cover next. If you haven't, go back, check out that video. I'll put it in the description below. Pick a movie from there. Not a lot of people comment, so if you just comment once a movie that interests you, there's a big chance that's what I will be doing in my next random horror review. As I said, guys, you don't have to. I'm just informing you. Just letting you know, you guys do have a say for my next random horror review. So, as I said, that video has only been up for maybe 3-4 days, so it's got a couple of days left. I'm just letting you guys know. So, leaving that aside for now, let's get into my review of A Quiet Place. Thank you for bearing with me there a little bit at the beginning, but as I said in the intro, for today's film we are covering A Quiet Place. I guess, like usual, we'll start off with talking about the plot a little bit, even though this is a major mainstream movie, and I feel like even if you haven't seen it, you would know what this movie is about, so we'll just sort of go through it quickly. The movie here takes place during the aftermath of an alien invasion. Now, when I say alien invasion, it's not the typical thing you sort of suspect, you know, little green men, big heads, take me to your leader kind of shit. It's not that. These things are fucking big, monstrous, fucking crazy looking creatures. But the thing is, they are blind but have impeccable hearing. So to survive, you need to be completely fucking silent. This film, we follow a family and just their survival and the way that they have adapted to living in this new world where if you pretty much make a peep, you're gonna die. So it's a pretty simple plot, but a well-executed movie. Now, I have briefly spoken about this movie before on my channel. I can't remember in what video, but I do remember saying that this is a movie I think will be, or could potentially be, a future horror movie classic. This was a movie that was well received by most critics and audiences alike, and I have to agree. This movie is just genuinely a solid effort. It's a pretty simple movie. As I said, it's just a family and their fight to survival against these aliens where, as I said, if you make a single fucking sound, you're gonna die. It's relatively simple. The movie actually doesn't run that long. It is a little bit of a slower movie, because there's so much character development and world building. But as I said, the movie flies by actually really quick. It never really feels slow. It always keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's very interesting, very suspenseful. I remember going to see this movie in cinemas, and it was literally the first time I've ever been in a cinema and you could hear a fucking pin drop. Everyone was too scared to make a fucking noise. I actually have a funny story. I remember going to see this in cinemas and I had a cold, and man, my fucking sinuses were that congested because I was too scared to blow my nose or cough or sneeze. Purely because, as I said, everyone was fucking silent, and that is so rare, especially to the cinemas in my area, because everyone loves to fucking chatter. But it was fucking crazy. Everyone was fucking mute. It was amazing. I loved it. It was one of my favorite cinema experiences, I reckon. And this is a movie that I come back to very, very often because it's very reliable. This movie, I feel like you're always going to have a very good time with. Now, this movie also has star power, being led by real-life husband and wife duo Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. This also being John Krasinski's directorial debut, if I remember correctly. And he just does such a really fucking good job. He really understands what material he has in front of him and knows what type of movie he's making. He's making a movie where you need to be fully invested with this family and their way of life and their way of surviving this new world. He is fully aware that we need to be invested in these characters. He's aware of the situation that they're in and how you can't be making any fucking sounds, and he knows how to put you right on the edge of your seat. Not only are Emily Blunt and John Krasinski amazing, the child actors in this movie are really fucking solid too. Me being unprofessional, I don't honestly remember the child actors' names, but they do such a good job. I think it was so amazing that they actually casted a hearing impaired actress as the daughter, because the daughter in this movie is obviously hearing impaired as well. I just think that is very good representation there, and I feel like a lot of big studio companies, they just don't have the balls to do that. I don't know why. I just think that's really unfair, but good on John Krasinski or the casting team for casting her, and she just does such a great job as well. The son also, I think this movie is just, even though it is a very small cast, it is just extremely well rounded and well acted. And of course, I think just a main talking point for this movie is just the fucking sound design of this movie. There is barely any dialogue. There's subtitles because there is a lot of signing. But yeah, this movie is pretty much silent, and there's shots in this movie where I feel like they've just completely wiped the soundboard and just leave you hearing nothing. And I think that is just so creative and so smart. I feel like if you haven't seen this movie, you might be hearing that and going, that sounds a bit boring, but it just really increases the suspense for this movie and really puts you on the edge of your seat. And honestly, I just think this movie will hold up for the longest time, and as I said, just well done to the whole team putting this one together, because I think this is a really solid modern horror movie effort. The aliens in this one, as I spoke about, they're not your typical, Martians that you sort of expect. These ones have really cool designs. They have heads sort of like, if you've seen Stranger Things, Demogorgons, a little bit like that in a way, but then they also have like these big spider-like praying mantis bodies. They're really fucking cool designs. And I guess along with that, the world building that I sort of briefly went over before is just really fucking good in this one, even when it's not discussed in dialogue or, between characters. If you're watching carefully and you pick up on things that are going on in the background, or they're just doing panning shots, and if you just quickly analyze what's going on around the characters, you can really cement yourself in this world and see the type of lifestyle that this family is now living, and it really immerses you in that. And I feel like that is such a great job, again, just by John Krasinski as a director. All the actors and actresses really cement themselves in this world too. I just think this movie is really, really captivating, and I'm sort of rambling on and on with this movie, but I really do enjoy it, so I would recommend A Quiet Place very highly if you haven't seen this one before. So we might as well cap this one off here, because I could praise this movie a lot. As I said, I think it could potentially be a future horror movie classic, really be looked back on and held with such praise. So I am going to leave this one with my rating now. I am going to give A Quiet Place an 8.5. I think this movie is really fucking solid, and as I said, I feel like a lot of people have seen this one, but if you haven't, go and check it out. Or maybe if you just haven't seen it in a while, maybe just chuck it on again, because as I said, this one just really holds up, and every time I see it, I do enjoy it and have a good time. And maybe if you haven't seen the sequel is just as good, maybe not better, but just as good. I'll put it on par at least. I've only seen the sequel once, but I have it on DVD, so maybe that's something I can cover in the future with you. But either way, thank you for joining me again for another random horror movie review, guys. Again, just a reminder, you guys do have a say in what I cover next. Just go back and watch my winter collection update if you haven't already. Remember, you feel free to comment on this video if you do know what movies I had in that collection update, or just comment on that one. You have a couple days left. I just want to involve you guys in my channel a little bit more. But thank you for joining me again, guys. Hope you enjoyed this random horror review, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.